Class, good day to you all. Welcome to GSP 3201, Philosophy and Logic, Module 5, which contains logical terms, laws of thoughts, nature and fundamental principles of logic. For 300 level students, first semester 2020/2021 academic session. In the School of Continuing Education, Bayero University, Kano. I am A Yusuf by name, from the Department of Science, School of Continuing Educations, will chair the class. Introduction. In this part of logic, we will discuss on logic module 5, which comprises logical terms, laws of thoughts, nature and fundamental principles of logic. Definition. Logic can be defined as a science of reasoning. Quite all right, logic is a science of reasoning because it helps one to be able to distinguish between a good from a bad reason, a right from a wrong reason, etc. Definition of logical terms. There are many types of logical terms. The following are among others. Propositions. Proposition is one of the term of logic, one of the logical term, which means is a declarative statement which is either true or false, but not both. So when we say declaration, when we say propositions, we mean a declarative statement which is either true or false, but not both. You will see an example. Examples of propositions. 1. It is raining today. This can be true, so is a proposition. 2. I am going to class. This also can be true, so is a proposition. 3. 1 plus 4 is equal to 6. This is not true, but yet is a proposition. 4. Nigeria is part of Europe. This is also not true, but of course is an example of propositions. There are some sentences that are not propositions. Examples. 1. How is your friend? 2. Drive the car, please. 3. Can you see him? So all these three examples from this 1, 2, 3, they are not propositions. The reason, you see the reason. So we say questions and commands are not propositions because they are not capable of being true or false. So that's the reason. It's just a question and a command, this example. That is why they are not propositions. So we also have negation symbol. We have negation symbol like this. Okay. So this is the contradictory or denial of your propositions. It is formed in English by inviting the words not. So when you see this negation symbol in logic, we mean not to the propositions, or bringing in the phrase like it is false that. So when we see the phrase it is false that, we mean negation. Or it is not the case that, when you see this it is not the case that, we mean negation. Negation is expressed with the call symbol. This is what is called a call symbol. That is, if we have call P, meaning a negation of P, or denial of P or contradictory of P. So whenever you see call P, we mean negation of P or denial of P or contradictory of P. Okay. We have conjunction symbol. Okay. The volume connective, this is what is called volume connective, corresponds to the English words and. So whenever you see this volume symbol, we mean and in logic. Okay? A proposition whose main connective is this volume connective is called a conjunction. Such a proposition is true if and only if each proposition is true. So this volume connective, as the name implies, that is a conjunctive term, is a conjunction symbol. So which means it is connecting the two statements. Maybe for instance, if you have a statement P and a statement Q. Okay, in logic, normally we are representing a statement with either P or Q. So when you are connecting the two statements, when you want to connect the two statements, so you use what? Use conjunction symbol, which is this. Okay, so if you have a two statement, so that two statement is true if and only if each proposition is true. So when you have a proposition P and you have a proposition Q, so that proposition P and Q will never be true unless all proposition P and Q are true. Okay? Then we have disjunction. We have disjunction symbol. Looks like this. This is what is called disjunction symbol. The volume connective, this corresponds to the English word O. So whenever you see this in logic, we mean O. O. A proposition whose main connective is conjunctive symbol, conjunction symbol, this is called a conjunction. So a proposition whose main connective is conjunction symbol, this one is called a conjunction. Such a proposition is true if and only if at least one proposition is true. So class, when you have the two statements or two propositions, let's say we have a proposition P and you have a proposition Q. So if you want to use this O, so this POQ will never be true. This POQ, the statement is true if at least one of the proposition is true. That is, if P statement is, if P proposition is true, then POQ is also true. If proposition Q is true, then POQ is also true. If at least one of the proposition is true, then when you use these disjunction symbols, so the statement will be true. Okay, and this, as I equally said, these disjunctions, is just the meaning of this disjunction is O in English. Okay, class, I hope you are following me. So such a proposition is true if and only if at least one proposition is true. So if you have P statement and you have Q statement, or if you have P proposition and you have Q proposition, and you use the words or this, so if at least P is true, then the statement P or Q is also will be true. If at least Q is true, then the statement P or Q will also be true. So we also have the conditional statement or conditional symbol. Sorry, we have a conditional symbol. And if dash 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 then dash dash dash, that is. Okay? A proposition that expresses some kind of conditional relationship between the two parts of the propositions. So, for example, if P is true and Q is true, then P implies Q is also true. This is what is called implies. Okay? The name in the logic, its name in logic is conditional symbol. So it is used for a conditional statement or conditional propositions. Okay? Then P implies Q. If I say, for example, if P is true and Q is also true, then P implies Q is also true. And apart from this, we have biconditional symbol. So biconditional symbols. Of course, from conditional symbols, we have the biconditional symbols. When you look at the two between this one and this one, the difference is this one is only facing the forwards, while this one, the arrow facing both forward and the backward. So because it has these two character, forward arrow and the backward arrow, then the symbol is called biconditional symbol. It is read in English. It is read in English word as if and only if. So this biconditional symbol is read in English as if and only if. The biconditional symbols, this P, if and only if Q, it comes out true whenever P and Q have both the same value and false, when they differ in truth value. So the meaning of this, if you have P implies Q, P if and only Q, sorry, if you have P if and only Q. So this statement, this proposition will only be true if P is true and Q is true, or if P is false and Q is false. So if they have the same truth value, that is, if P is true and Q is also true. So true, if and only if true is also true. Okay? And if they have false value, all of them, that is, if P is false and Q is also false, then P if and only Q is true because they have all the same false value. Okay? And when they differ in truth value, so it will be false. So if this is false and Q is true, then if and only if the statement is what? Is false. And if P is true, Q is false, the statement will be false. If P is false, Q is true, the statement is also, the proposition is also what? False. I hope you are following me, class. Good. Now, laws of thoughts. We have laws of thought in logic. Meaning of laws of thought, generally, the laws are taken as the rules that guide everyone's thinking, thoughts, expressions, decisions, etc. The laws of thought are as follows. The law of identity, the law of excluded middle, and the law of non-contradiction. So all these three terms are the laws of thoughts. Law of identity. The law states that the law of identity is known as the principle of identity. And the law of identity states that a thing is identical with itself. So class you is an identical of yourself. If for instance one of you, I'm talking to let's say class rep. So your class rep is identical of himself. Okay. This is to say that true proposition is not a false proposition. If a proposition is true, then it is true forever. So using logical notation, we can represent it as P implies P or Q implies Q, which is true for all propositions, meaning that every such proposition is called a tautology. So if you have Q implies Q or P implies P, so that statement is what? Is what is called tautology. Good. Then we have law of excluded middle. This is also referred to as the principle of excluded middle. The law of excluded middle states that a proposition is either true or false. Logically, proposition cannot be neither true nor false, and cannot be both true and false simultaneously. So there is no middle value between the truth and the falsity statement or propositions. So logical space has only two sides, that is true and false, yes or no, right and left, just like two sides of a coin. We just have head and the tail. So a proposition stays on one side only at a time, never at the middle. Okay. So law of non-contradiction. This is known as the principle of non-contradiction or the principle of contradiction. The law of non-contradiction states that a proposition cannot be in its own negation. That is, a proposition is to be true and false at the same time in the same contents. So for that same reason, it is neither true nor false, and therefore it is not a proposition in logic. In other words, no proposition in logic is both true and false. So class, this is the end of this class. So as I equally said, I will only take these parts, which is module 5, and this is the end of the class. I hope you are following me up to this point. Thank you for listening.